Hello and welcome to my kitchen. I'm Judith. Today we're going to do something a little different. I'm going to make dessert. A friend gifted me with a huge bag of fresh cherries. So I've been sitting here pitting cherries this afternoon while watching videos. So I have 4 cups of lovely cherries and we're going to make cherry pie. So let's start with our pie crust. And it's going to be a double crust pie, so we want that is about 2, well, probably closer to 3 cups of flour, just all-purpose flour, and just a dash of salt, and about half a teaspoon of baking powder, and we want a couple of teaspoons of white sugar. So we're going to mix that all in. Make a well in the center, and then we want some shortening. And you want a fair amount of shortening, but if you go overboard, then it gets too soft. So it's about half a cup. And then we're just going to break the shortening into the flour. You want it to kind of look like crumbs. Just rub it. Now if you have a pastry cutter or one of those mini bladed things, which I do somewhere, it's probably best to use that, because the colder you can keep your ingredients, the better your pie crust will turn out. We have it looking like a crumb mixture. Just to make a well in there and get some water. And I'm taking water out of the refrigerator because, again, we want it as cold as possible. Okay. So then we pour in about 1/4 cup of water and just gently mix it in. And the less that you work the dough, the better it will turn out as well. So you want it really cold and not beaten to death. Okay, we're going to add a little more water there. About another tablespoon. There we go, I think we got enough now. Okay, now that we can make a ball out of it, that's exactly what we're going to do. Form it into a ball. Just give me a second. Take it out of the bowl, which will be easier. And we're going to wrap it in cling wrap and refrigerate it for at least an hour before we roll it out. Alright, so and that's just going to go into the fridge and let it set up a little bit, and then when we roll it out, it's going to be divine. Alright, for our pie filling, so we have 4 cups of fresh cherries. We're going to mix that with 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour and 2 tablespoons of sugar. The flour is because, of course, your cherries are going to release a lot of liquid as they cook, and the flour will help thicken that so you don't have a puddle or a terribly soggy bottom crust. There we go. And we'll just set that aside until we get the crust rolled out. Alright, it's time to roll out our pie crust. So we are going to flour our surface here. And we are going to take the pie dough that we had in the refrigerator and cut it into 2 halves. They don't have to be completely equal because you're going to want the larger one for the top. It will need to be a little bit bigger. Just keep that one wrapped in the cling wrap until you're ready for it. Flatten it into a disc there. Sprinkle the top with a little bit of flour. Okay, and you want to coat your rolling pin with some flour as well. And you want to kind of roll it from the middle outward and then turn it. And flip it over. Now we don't want it really thin, but we also don't want it 1/4 of an inch thick. So you just need to roll it out large enough to cover the bottom of a 9-inch pie plate. I think we're getting there. Looking good. It's a little thick on that side yet. Turn it so I can get at it. There we go. And don't worry if it's not terribly round, because we are going to be cutting the edges off. So then just take it, and that's really thick, so that's going away anyhow. And put it into your pie plate. And you want it to overhang the edge by at least 1/2 inch. Because you need that to crimp to the top to seal it in. Okay, then we have our cherries. And put those in there. Now that we have our cherries in the pie, we are going to sprinkle just a little bit of cinnamon on top. That's probably 1/4 of a teaspoon, just a pinch. And then we're going to take small bits of butter and just sprinkle them across the top as well. So we're probably going to use about a teaspoon and a half maybe. Not a whole lot, but it will cut the acidity if you happen to have acidic cherries. I mean, my cherries aren't that sweet. I know I ate a few of them. They are delicious, but they aren't the sweetest cherries I've ever had. Okay, now that we have that done, we'll just set that aside. And we'll roll it out, top rolled out. Fold it in half. And with a very sharp knife in the center, make some small slits. This will allow the steam to escape our top crust. Place it on. Try to get your slits in the center. There we go. And then we're going to cut off the excess. And you can use the excess to make little decorations and stick them on top of your pie if you like. If you want I'm going to say at about a 1/2 inch overhang, because you do need to seal everything in so that it will cook and not leak all over your stove. And yes, do put a pan underneath in the bottom of your stove to catch any drips, or you're going to be cleaning the oven. When I get to the end, I'm usually not quite even. Okay, an optional step is to brush with an egg wash. Okay, so an egg wash is just an egg mixed with a little bit of water. And you just want to brush it onto your crust. You don't want to drench it, you just want to give it a nice light coat. It will help your crust brown up, become nice and golden. You could also sprinkle some sugar over the top. I choose not to do that. It's just extra calories, but if you think your cherries are really tart, you could do that. It could help a little with that. Then we're going to bake it at 450 for 10 minutes, then reduce the temperature to 350 for 30 to 35 minutes. Check it carefully because you may need to turn it during that time, and actually even 35 minutes may not be quite enough depending on the firmness or ripeness of your cherries. And there's the cherry pie. It has been cooling for about 3/4 of an hour, so you see none of the juices are running around and puddling on the plate. And it looks wonderful. The only thing I regret is I have no ice cream to go on it. So if you liked the video, please consider subscribing, make a comment, and give it a like. And we'll see you again soon. Thank you.